Coming up on this episode of the MD and Chef Team Show. Coming up on this episode of the MD and Chef Team Show.
And here's the thing I always say to people, the saying has always been, you are what you eat. But there's more than that again. It's you are what you eat. Because, what is the fish eating? What water are they swimming in? Because when you eat it, that's going into you. And so the mercury levels in the world, and again, we're working with people who are reversing cognitive decline and Alzheimer's and brain health, and mercury is one of the biggies that shows up, and metal toxins massively affects the brain.
Welcome to the show from the MD and Chef Team. I'm Dr. Isabel, medical doctor here at the MD and Chef Team. And who are you?
And I'm Chef Michael, culinary nutrition expert. I'm the chef part of the team.
And what are we going to talk about, babe? Now, I can say that because he's my husband.
Yes. Well, then we'll be talking about marriage, relationships, parenting, intimacy. We'll talk about mindsets of success, overcoming depression, anxiety. I'll be getting into functional nutrition, recipes and tips from the kitchen. And we're going to both get into how to live a long, healthy, vibrant life.
Yes, I love it. Our mission is to help you prevent and reverse disease and give you hope in the process. Oh yeah, we like to have fun too. So let's get on with the show.
In the traditional medical sense, they want to put us into this box that, well, if my mom had cancer, then I'll probably die of cancer. If my dad had type 2 diabetes, I'm going to have the same type of aspects, the same types of things going on in me. This guy's going to die young. And, because it's those hereditary genes that he's got. So, yeah, we're going to base everything around that. Because what I started doing was I started getting myself in the best health of my life. Mm-hmm. And I'm still filling out these forms, and they're looking at me like, well, this guy's about to die. He's now in his 50s and into his 60s, and he's probably just going to die soon. I'm thinking, well, wait a second. I'm in better health now than I was in my 30s.
Right.
So what are you trying to do? What box are you trying to fit me into here? And so what kind of tipped me off a little bit was back in my 40s, when I was still in my chefing days and working 70 plus hours a week. I mean, I do it now differently. But being a corporate chef, 70 plus hours a week, I was becoming the fat, grumpy old chef very quickly with a wife and 2 daughters. And I remember my beautiful wife kind of looking at me one day, and she didn't say anything, but I could see the look in her eyes like, oh my gosh, what's happening to my guy? And I had to take a look at myself in the mirror. It was that point of life where the old saying is, did you look at yourself in the mirror and what did you see? Mm-hmm. Well, I was pretty unhappy with what I saw. So that kind of started my process of going, okay, I need to be looking at, I don't want to die young. Is this just me? Is this all that I'm going to have? So that really started the process of, okay, let's dive into this and see if there's things that I can do to change this family tree and for generations.
Right. Well, I do have a story about that. I might have told you when we met, but when I was in my 20s, I went to the doctor. And she said to me, now, it's not a question of if you're going to get cancer. It's a question of when. Mm-hmm. Now, I think I took the opposite approach to you. And I went, no way. No, lady, you're wrong. I'm not listening to you. I was so angry. I knew that wasn't. Now, most of the people in my family are in their 90s. But if you look at my tree, it's just not exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So today I want to get into that to understand. I mean, Isabel and I work with some people, and it's a group called Becoming the CEO of Your Health. Right. And it's really about us being the boss of our own personal health, not giving it up to others out there who tell us, well, this is just what you're going to be.
Exactly.
Before we get into a lot of it, I do want to give you at least one amazing story. And there's so many we could get into, but just for time for today, this is the example of how we can change our family for generations. Mm-hmm. About 7 years ago, a lady, she was 47 at the time, great friend of ours. However, at the time, she hadn't shared with us what was going on. We saw some stuff, but she didn't reach out. But what happened was she went to the doctor to get a checkup for her son, who at the time, I think he might have been around maybe 10 to 12, something like that. And he was becoming very obese. So she wanted to get him checked out to see what was going on. Well, while she was there, they said, well, let's do a health check on you. Uh-oh. Well, at 47, she had 3 children, 2 still at home. She was a smoker. She was obese. and she had what's called a hemoglobin A1C of 50. Now, to keep that simple, is that is a testing that you do for pre-diabetes and type 2 diabetes, not type 1, but lifestyle diabetes where you develop it over time. Mm-hmm. And 50, well, in traditional medicine, they'll call you pre-diabetic at like 42 on up. In what's called functional medicine, we have it a little low, we have a little lower than that. It's more about 40. Well, she was at 50. And that's extremely high. So basically, the doctor said, well, you have type 2 diabetes. We need to look at getting you on an insulin program. And continuing on the way you are and smoking and being this obese, you're probably looking at having a heart attack or a stroke within the next 5 years and possibly dying. That was her prognosis. Well, I guess that shook her tree pretty good because we got a phone call. I know you guys are kind of working with people. Can you help me? And yes, we can. Now there is work to do. But here's the key with this one. Well, I'll call her Mary just for, her namesake. Mary was teachable and she was motivated. Right. Because her motivation was, I've got 2 children at home who's 10 or 12 heading down the same track. Her family had a history of not type 1 diabetes, but people stepping into lifestyle disease of type 2 diabetes. And she kind of put up her head and said, no, that's it. I'm going to be the change. So worked with her for about 18 months, and then she was able to run on her own. Mm-hmm. But over 12 months, she went from that level of 50 down to a 34. And once you get in that kind of mid to low 30s, I mean, basically what happened after a year when she went to the doctor and they saw these readings, and plus in that 12 months, she lost 45 kgs, which is about 99 pounds. She went from a size 28 to a size 12. Mm-hmm. As a woman, think of that one, 28 to a 12 in a year. Wow. And she also quit smoking. And when she went back to they just like, the mouth just dropped like, who are you? Mary? Is that Mary? I mean, really? That's you? And she was just told, okay, go away, maybe come back in a couple of years for a checkup. But, there's nothing, I don't know what happened, but you're good to go. Well, what happened was she reversed it. Now, what I love about that is that what Mary did was she's now got 7 grandchildren. She became the health coach of her family. So she broke that whole chain of generational lifestyle disease where now she's got her kids on the right type of healthy eating lifestyle and exercise and strong mental health. Was it easy? Absolutely not. It took her about 2 to 3 months to change her habits because it was the changing of the habits that got her going and made that switch. She did a few things. She changed her habits. She got a coach. And then she made a commitment to, I am the change, and made that happen. And that's, I get goosebumps just thinking about that, how that generational change, what she's done for that family and for her kids and the grandchildren. She's the one that made that change. That is so powerful.
So yes. When she was diagnosed, did she have the grandchildren or were her children young?
She had one child who wasn't at home, still young, like I think maybe around 20. Okay. But she had a daughter that was, I'm just thinking of the ages because this is 7 years ago. And by the way, she's still incredibly healthy and vibrant and bouncing off the walls and doing life and everything. So it wasn't like, she lost it all. And then 2 years later, now she's back in diabetes. Now 7 years later, just rocking the world. So yeah, 2 kids were young and then one had just come out of high school. But now she's 7 years later, she's got 7 grandchildren and just loving life. And we've got others like that, even with what's called cognitive decline, Alzheimer's, people that we're working with Dr. Dale Bredesen, who wrote the book, The End of Alzheimer's. His team has created the Bredesen Recode Protocol, reversing Alzheimer's, family genes, family traits there, reversing that. The stories are incredible how people are changing that hereditary line. And it's just so powerful what you can do to change that for generations. And for me, that's what I'm looking to do for my family. That's what I'm doing for my family. I have 2 daughters. I don't want them to automatically think, we've got cancer and diabetes in our family tree. So my grandparents died young, so I'm just going to die young. I want to blow up that thought process in them. It's not about me. It's where it goes in my legacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there are a lot of people who think that are surprised when they surpass their parents' death age. So let's say my mom died at 65. I might worry about dying by 65 and then be surprised that I made it beyond that, which is a lot of wasted energy.
Yeah. And then once you make it, I'm at 66. Okay, well, I've made it. So I guess that's me.
what do I do? What do I do now?
Now, what do I do now? What's my goal now? I need to reset that.
Right.
So today I want to get into what's called, very briefly, epigenetics. And epigenetics is the study of the body organisms or the body mechanisms that can switch the genes on and off in our body. Now, we've all heard of DNA,
Right.
and we all have DNA. We've inherited DNA from our family tree, family line, not just our parents, grandparents. We've all inherited DNA. But in that DNA, there's gene sequences, and there's, tens of thousands of different sequences, and we all have those. Big point I want to get across today is that we have the opportunity to turn off those genes, have them stay suppressed, or they could be turned on to a point where they come out and they become part of us again. They're not suppressed. So that immune system, and what you're talking about here in the summit, that immune system is really our strength to have those genes turned on and off. And there's ways that we can do that. Because for me, yes, the fact is I've inherited in my DNA some bad genes. They're there. It's part of it. I've also inherited good genes. There's great things I've got from my parents. We all have our color eyes and our color hair and our body, the way it's shaped and formed, and different nuances about us as individuals. But there are some baddies in there too. Right. And so our immune system allows us to let that sit there, the bad one suppressed, or it can be turned on. And today I want to talk about the nutritional point of it, because we can get into all the many factors of it. There's environmental factors, there's toxins. Just a quickie, before I came on, it was something that I hadn't necessarily talked about today with nutrition, but I thought it's a valid point. I want to make sure that everybody gets this and hears this, is our skin is our largest body organ. Yeah, it's everywhere. It covers us everywhere. But yet we don't think about taking care of our skin as far as what's going on it. What is it being, because everything that goes on our skin, and I can tell you this only hit us a couple years ago for Isabel and I, is everything that's going on our skin will soak through and seep through and go into our blood system and into our body systems. And so I'm not going to get into all the details of all the different things, but it's like perfumes, fragrances, body lotions, body oils, anything we could be rubbing on, using. You've probably heard of aluminum-free, or as we say down under, aluminium-free deodorants. And, so where did that all come from? Understanding that these toxins do go into our body and affect us. And they affect us in a bad way. They can allow our immune system to be suppressed. And so that's just an area that's a big tip out there. Just if you're not thinking of your skin as the big body organ, and what am I putting on? What am I doing? Just take a look at that. What things am I using? What products am I using? Is it, take a look at the ingredient list. Is there a bunch of stuff on there? Oh my gosh, do I want all that going in me? Am I spraying all that stuff on myself? That's going in to our brain, into our body. And as Dr. Isabel will talk about, our gut health.
Right. I got into having a more holistic lifestyle at the age of 15, and definitely by 25. But nothing that wasn't organic has ever been put on my face or my skin. So I'm just, I'm one of those people. I caught it early. I believed it my entire life. And I do believe at 53, I am reaping the benefits of this.
Look at your skin. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I always thank my grandparents for that. I have worked, and it's very simple. When I owned a spa, I would taste all the products in front of my employees and say, if I'm not willing to put it in my mouth, I'm not willing to put it on my face. So I agree with you on that. Absolutely.
Well, I got to hand it to you. You are decades ahead of us. It's probably only been over the last 15 years that we have kind of delved in, but that's, whenever. It's just that for us, we hit that age where both of us as career people, we realized that our health was on the decline, and we had to take that hard look at ourselves. So congratulations to you for doing that for a young age, because that's good stuff. Yeah. But hey, whenever, that's what we're looking to do.
The best thing to do something is 10 years ago, right? But the second best time to do something is today. So.
Do it today. Get started today. Yes. So what I use as an analogy, because we can get into all the technical and biological details of epigenetics and the immune system, all that, but I like to keep things simple because, I'm sure we got a broad spectrum of people listening. And, but for most of us, if we could because one of the things one of the strengths of my beautiful wife, Isabel, as a medical doctor, is people always say to her, oh, I can actually understand what she's saying. I get it. She keeps it simple. And that's what she loves to do, is keep it simple. So I'm going to keep it simple. What I like to relate with the immune system is whether you like armies or not armies. Armies are just something in the world we've all heard of. but just, I'm going to use that as an analogy. In our immune system is our good army. We all have a natural immune system, and that's our good army. And that good army there is to fight the bad attacks. We're all under constant attack every day from environmental factors, toxins, foods, drinks, everything going into us, everything applied on us, everything around us, the fumes we smell. We're under constant attack. However, with our natural immune system, that's our good army. So when that good army is strong, well, it'll win. It wins the daily battle. But when that army, that natural immune system, starts to become suppressed, or the bad army is more fed, then it starts to win. And all of a sudden, our body starts to get what's called inflammation. That's when my knee, all of a sudden I've got arthritis, or, I'm starting to feel bad about this, or this isn't working, or I'm having pains. And, so what I want to talk about today is we want to feed the good army. We want to feed our immune system to keep it strong, because it's going to be under attack every day. That's just life. It's the way it is. But we want to starve the bad army. We don't want to give any ammo to the bad guys, because they're there anyway. So let's not add to it. So from a food point of view, I want to talk about let's talk about the foods to avoid first. The stuff that's out there. So we'll hit on a few of the foods to avoid. Sugar. Well, we've all heard about sugar.
I was going to say, can I guess the first one?
Yeah.
Because I knew that was an easy
one. I should have kind of mixed it up a little bit so you couldn't have guessed. All right, let me go back. Let's go with another one first. But that's the one we've just kind of all heard of, and whatever. But what happens with us is most people come to us and say, "But I don't put sugar in anything." But then I have them start looking at their pantry, their cupboard, whatever you want to call it, and looking at what's in there, looking at what's in the fridge, looking at the bottles, looking at the cans, the packages, and looking at the ingredients, saying, you don't need to add it because it's already been added for you. Now, unless you're just totally 100% consuming nature all day long, carrots, vegetables, fruits, whatever types of proteins you like to have, good lean proteins, the food industry is going to be adding it in. So even when you think you're not putting any in, there's already some coming in. But the thing about sugar to understand is, and like I said, I want to keep this simple, is just 2 tablespoons of sugar. Just imagine 2 tablespoons of sugar. That can suppress your immune system for up to 5 hours. So the thing is, if you have a very high sugary diet that you're having every day, that you're having a lot, you're putting a teaspoon or 2 in your coffee, and then you're putting some on your cereal, or you're putting some in somewhere else, or you're having a lot of bottled or canned things that have sugar added to it, well, you pretty much are suppressing your immune system almost all day long. And so that's kind of lowering the bar on the good army and allowing, like I said, we want to keep this army strong. And now you are not starving the bad army. You're actually giving it ammunition, because you're suppressing your immune system. And so that's really the bottom line about sugar, is it has the ability to suppress our immune system. And that is just what we don't want to be doing.
Right. And when you say sugar, are you talking refined sugar? Are you talking about fruit sugars that are in the fruit? Yeah,
I'm talking about what's called the high fructose corn syrup type stuff. I'm talking about the raw sugars. I'm talking about the white sugar and those types of things. I mean, as an example, Isabel and I will have some Manuka honey. We live in New Zealand, which Manuka honey flows in the rivers, and not quite, but when people come here, they see, oh my gosh, it's Manuka honey all over. We're fortunate to have that, and that's beautiful raw unpasteurized honey. Now, yes, there's a sugar content of that. It's less as far as just a normal white granulated sugar. However, we still can't have a half a cup of that every day. Maybe a teaspoon of that. We will recommend that to people who are looking to come off of sugar and to reduce it, but to bring it down slowly, we'll use some Manuka honey. But understanding that, yes, there are different levels. However, when you look at what's being put into products, it's usually high fructose corn syrup and just raw refined sugar. Mm-hmm. And so that's really what I'm talking about with that. They will, it's moderation, even if you're using honey, maple syrup, those things. I mean, if you're adding on top of it, then you are going to get to a point where that will suppress your immune system. So it's, a little bit of moderation there as far as that goes. Right. And understand the fact that even raw fruits have different levels of sugar content. There's what's called the GI glycemic index, which measures the levels of sugars. Things like berries, apples, kiwi fruit, they have a low GI. And then the tropical fruits, bananas, pineapples, those types of things, they have a high GI. Their sugar content is much higher. So is it okay to have a banana? Sure. 10 a day? Oh, that's really now you got a lot of natural sugars coming in. It becomes a little bit too much, because the body gets to a point where it can't handle it anymore. So you still have to be looking at a balance in all those areas. But that's the key with sugar, is just understanding that it does have the ability to suppress the immune system. And that's not what we want to do.
Right.
So next two I want to talk about to avoid, and we could do a summit on each one. Actually, every one of these, you could do a full summit on these, and there are summits on these.
Yeah. One
is gluten, which, we could go on for a long time about that, and the other is dairy.
Okay.
Now, we live in New Zealand, which the dairy industry is the biggest industry here in New Zealand. But gluten and dairy, and to keep this simple, I'm just going to use a story and the explanation. Is a big tip and a challenge I would put out to everybody is we could all be walking around in a state of inflammation and not even know it. Meaning that we've gotten so used to a point in our body where our immune system is constantly fighting against inflammatory foods that we're putting in ourselves that we've just gotten used to it. And we live in kind of a state where we've got a little bit extra weight from being inflamed, where we're retaining water. We've gotten, our joints are kind of tight. We're arthritic. We have lower back pains and that, and we just kind of get used to it. So gluten and dairy in those two areas, my challenge would be, if you've never done this, most people have never done this. You could have some advanced people who have, but I would say eliminate them for 28 days. Mm-hmm. Just, do them both or just pick one, but eliminate gluten, let's say, for 28 days. Eliminate dairy for 28 days. Then after the 28 days, see how you feel. How's life feeling? Not the first week, because it takes your body some time to adjust, but after 28 days, see how you're feeling. And then put it back in for the next 3 to 5 days. Do you feel different? Is your body reacting to that? Because what you will find, most of us will have some kind of either mild reaction or severe reaction when we put it back in. And what we'll find is, oh my gosh, I was walking around in a state of inflammation and I didn't even notice. Because for Isabel and I, doing this about 5 years ago, we were the so-called, I'm kind of gluten-free. I'm kind of dairy-free. Yeah. We were fooling ourselves. It's like being kind of pregnant, which I wouldn't know about, but. And so when we did this, for me personally, and then I came back and did gluten, and you do them individually so you find out which one it is. But for me, when I reintroduced gluten, I had so mumuch energy. I was feeling so good. I dropped a little weight. I felt toned. I had a lot more energy from my exercise. My skin felt good. I felt lit up, from a great point of view. When I reintroduced it, oh my gosh, like my stomach blew out, and started to get a belly going again. And I kind of went, oh, and the same thing happened to me with dairy. And so I realized, okay, well, I'm not having a severe reaction, but I'm having mild reactions. I'm sensitive to this. And I was walking around in a state of inflammation, not realizing it. So, and now I'm sugar-free, dairy-free, gluten-free. And because I just don't even mess with those. For me, I love the way I felt without it, as opposed to having it.
Are you afraid of having Alzheimer's? Well, you don't have to anymore. You see, the most up-to-date medical research now shows us having Alzheimer's is an option. Yes, you heard me right. Having Alzheimer's is an option. You can learn how by having your very own personalized pre-code report. Now, you're probably asking me, what is a pre-code report? Great question. Pre-code stands for Preventing Cognitive Decline, and the pre-code report shows you what unique areas you can start working on right away. All of this has been made available by my genius mentor and medical doctor, Dr. Dale Bredesen, who has been researching this for 30 plus years and wrote the best book ever called The End of Alzheimer's. Having Alzheimer's is now an option. There is hope. For more information on how to get your pre-code underway, look for the link in the show notes. Now, back to the podcast.
Now, for my beautiful wife, Isabel, what she found was the same thing with gluten. But for dairy, for her, she got brain fog. She reintroduced it. And when she had dairy, she found that she just kind of couldn't think as sharply and wasn't as focused. And as you can imagine, as a doctor and a health coach, that's not good. Right. And so for her, she realized that she had that sensitivity to dairy. So my challenge is to everyone out there, if you've never done this before, eliminate them for 28 days and then reintroduce it and find out, well, am I sensitive to this? Does it not affect me? It might not affect you. I mean, we did it with coffee, we did it with alcohol, we did it with eggs, we did it with soy, we did it with a whole bunch of things. And, we have a 28-day elimination program that, you can do that with, but it's so cool to find. I mean, I get excited about it to find out, because I would love for people to become the CEO of their health, to find out what is affecting you. Why do you have knee pain? Mm-hmm. Because understanding the fact that what we usually don't understand is maybe I've got knee pain, but I've got knee pain because I've got inflammation from foods I'm having, or I've got poor gut health. I don't necessarily have a problem with my knee. Something else is going on, and that happens to be the weakest part of my body. When we have inflammation, it will attack the weakest part of our body. When that bad army is winning, it'll say, oh, there's a weakness. We found it. We're going to hit that. And so that's why, we need to find out, well, what's causing that from just getting to the root cause, as we say.
Yeah, I think it's really that part of, there's so many people who say, just eliminate it, get rid of it. I haven't really heard anybody say, test it.
Yes.
My daughter just came to visit. My daughter visited. I just, had fun with the kid, right? And, a few days into it, it's like, why am I getting up later? Why is it harder to sleep? What's going on? And so there was that reintroduction of things that I don't normally eat, and I paid for it. And I felt it, and I realized I don't even want this. She had a box of devil dogs in the house. I had one to just kind of test myself, because I used to love them. It didn't mean anything to me after a while. And that's what I want people to understand, is that it doesn't have to be hard, because once you're following it and you see how good you feel, you stop craving it, your body doesn't want it. And so I kind of had the devil dog as a test. And then I was so glad that I didn't want any more.
Yeah. And that happened to us, I would say fairly recently, a few months ago, where we just had a weekend away, Isabel and I took a little break, and we had some fair amount of cheese in 24 hours, dairy cheese. Oh my gosh. It took us at least 3 days, probably 5 days for her to clear out. I mean, and we're okay. No, that's it. Can't do that, because, we like functioning. Yeah. And, so once you understand what it's doing to you and you allow it to clear out, I guess the biggie is that we can be walking around in a state of inflammation and not even know it. We were walking around in a state of inflammation and didn't even know it. Felt pretty good, but we were probably running at maybe 70% of our health capacity. It looked good, kind of felt good, but it wasn't our optimal health.
Right.
And you're right. Testing is the key. I mean, I'm not telling everybody you just got to eliminate. We don't do that with everyone. We're into testing. We need to find out individually what's affecting you, because some people can handle alcohol, some can't. Some can handle a little bit of gluten, some can't. Dairy, that's another one. And so it's the same thing with sugars. We're not saying totally eliminate, just be careful with amounts, but you need to test and see what's really hitting you, because we're all sensitive to something. And so we need to find out. Otherwise, like I said, we're just walking around in a state of inflammation, and you see it in people, and they've got all these chronic things going on, chronic diseases and different pains and that happening to their body. And we just, let's get to the cause. Let's find out what's going on, because the immune system is being compromised.
Right.
Yeah.
So now, are there any other foods?
Yeah, let's hit on one more, and then we'll move on. Okay. Let's talk about mercury.
Oh.
Mercury, yeah. And just those kind of metal toxins. Let's talk about seafood. I mean, personally, we love seafood. I don't know. Do you like seafood?
Love it.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, our oceans and seas and waterways have become highly polluted. Even here in this beautiful green New Zealand, and just lovely and pure and wonderful, there's a lot of stuff that's running into the waterway. Well, I mean, we all understand there's some runoffs and things, and even the oceans around here in the southern part of the world, mercury levels are climbing throughout the world. And here's the thing I always say to people, the saying has always been, you are what you eat. But there's more than that again. It's you are what you eat. Because, what is the fish eating? What water are they swimming in? Because when you eat it, that's going into you. And so the mercury levels in the world, and again, we're working with people who are reversing cognitive decline and Alzheimer's and brain health, and mercury is one of the biggies that shows up, and metal toxins massively affects the brain. So we really got to be careful. I think I'm pretty sure in almost all countries of the world, you can go on the National Fisheries site and you can look up the mercury levels of all the fish. And I know you can in the US. I'm pretty sure you can in all countries. We could do it here in New Zealand. And you really want to look at the mercury levels of all fish. It will be stated. It will give you high, medium, and low. Mm-hmm. But that's something you want to be looking at, because if you are eating a lot of fish and seafood, that's something to check out, because mercury is such a baddie for causing our gene mutation, really having our genes go bad on us.
Well, there's something that is so counterintuitive that I feel like nobody knows this, that the fish that are farmed actually have a higher mercury rate than fish that are wild. And I would never have thought that.
Yeah.
So, fresh is still better. But the reason, and I don't understand why farmed fish has to have any mercury in it.
Yeah. Well, and it's also, what are they feeding it to? I mean, what's the feed that they're feeding it? Where's the feed coming from? Right. Because again, you could be getting the pollutants from the feed. I mean, are they feeding them some kind of a feed that's coming from a farm that's been sprayed? Mm-hmm. So, it's all looking at that. But on the flip side, with foods that heal and keep our army strong. So let's talk about fish. Well, we adhere to what's called SMASH. That's SMASH. What that is for salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, and herring. Salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, and herring.
I didn't hear tuna.
I know. I love tuna on the grill or something. And that's actually one of the highest containing mercury fishes in the world.
Sorry, but salmon.
Yeah, salmon. And again, but you got to look where that's coming from too. You really want to get the fresh and not necessarily farm raised, but you got to check in, okay, if I'm getting it from this place, what's it being fed? But those are the ones. And the reason being is worldwide, they have the lowest mercury content of all the fish that's out there. And most of them, you'll notice, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, herrings are small. Mm-hmm. So there's not a lot of chain of eating upon eating upon eating going on.
Right. The ones that are being eaten.
Yeah. So that's what we adhere to. And we adhere to that. The bottom line reason we adhere to that is because we want to have a strong, healthy brain till the day we pass on from this planet. Mm-hmm. Because we can. And that's a whole other one we can get into, the cognitive decline and that. But, that's a biggie with brain health, is metal toxins and mercuries and all those types of things. That is a massive deterrent to our brain health. And so that's something we really have to pay attention to, because we are seeing, again, this is one of the areas where we're seeing a massive spike worldwide in Alzheimer's, dementia, cognitive decline. And it's got a lot to do with food. There's many other factors, but it's got a lot to do with the toxins and where they're coming from, but also our food and what we've been doing for decades, what we've been putting into ourselves. And those heavy metals are biggie.
It's interesting that you say worldwide, because my assumption is that it's highest in America. And I don't know if that's really true. Is it raising by the same levels throughout the world?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's really kind of what you would call first world, westernized society, whatever that may be. But those who have that eating culture, shall I say, where we've just been accustomed to takeaways, fast foods, cans, throw it in the microwave, fast cooking, really empty nutrient, eating of a lifestyle that just has not much nutritional value, bottom line. Yeah. And so that's worldwide. I mean, we live in this beautiful country of New Zealand, and we are working with our clients here and, of course, around the world. But again, we see it here. I mean, there's fast food here in this country. It blew me away when I got here 20 years ago and I saw McDonald's, Burger King, Domino's, Pizza Hut, KFC. I'm like, what? How did they get here? Who let them in?
I definitely want to ask you what you and Isabel do. But first, do you more that you want to speak on?
Yeah, well, let me give you a couple other foods that heal. Okay. A real biggie is fresh ginger, garlic, and turmeric. Yay. Those three fresh they're what's called anti-inflammatory. They're anti-cancerous, anti-inflammatory. They feed the good army. Those three fresh ones: garlic, turmeric, and ginger. Get as much of those into your daily eating lifestyle as you can. Obviously, garlic, we have to be a little bit careful around social settings. But hey, if you're not around others, or if it's just, your group, then everybody load up on the garlic. But those three, if you can get yourself some fresh teas with fresh ginger, fresh turmeric, chop it up, and just put it in some water with maybe some clove or a cinnamon stick. Make yourself beautiful. Brew yourself your own teas. I mean, drinking that stuff, it is so anti-inflammatory. If Isabel and I have a time where we might have gone out and had a couple glasses of bubbles or some extra glasses of wine, and we're feeling a little, that feeling in the morning, and I'm a little bit bloated, a little foggy, man, I'm having turmeric and ginger and cinnamon stick and cloves and making a big pot of tea, and I'm drinking that for the first half of the day. And by within a couple hours, boom, I'm like, yes, I'm fired up, ready to go again, because it just clears out the toxins and gets us going again. So those 3 fresh herbs or just spices are just beautiful. Get as much of those into your eating plan as you can. And then the bulbs, like the onion family is incredible. The onion family is so beautiful. Onions, mushrooms, they are all anti-inflammatory. They're beautiful. They will feed the good army. And then another one, so mushrooms, onions, kale, cilantro, coriander, however you call it, what part of the world you're in. Parsley, they are detoxifying. They will actually clean out. Coriander, kale, parsley, they will help you detoxify from metals and toxins. Mm-hmm. So those are beautiful. Get all those into your daily eating, and that's just going to help clean you, help raise that good army, raise it up so you can fight all the badness that's attacking you every day, because it's out there.
Yeah, I mean, I started making a smoothie every day in July. So basically all the foods you're talking about, I'm eating on it every day. And I have never felt better. Never.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah.
And it's just a natural feeling of, I know that when you have parsley, when you have vitamin C and iron, vitamin C helps you absorb the iron. There's just so much to that, but it's made a huge difference. And here you are talking about my favorite foods. I'm Italian. Onions. I don't have friends that don't like that.
Yeah.
But people can add these things easily to their.
Yeah. And if it will help your immune system. It will keep your immune system strong. That's what we're talking about. We need that immune system to stay strong. So the genes that we all have from our family tree that are within us, and I'm using myself as an example, the bad genes that I have within us, I want them to just lay dormant. They never are expressed. The word would be expressed. They're never expressed. I keep them suppressed down. Mm-hmm. And that's what these types of foods do.
That's great. Yeah. So has your entire family taken this on? Have your daughters?
Oh, you would have to bring that up. No, that's funny. They know. They're 24 and 26.
They're immortal. That's all right.
Yeah, well, they kind of do what we did, like I said, probably 5 to 8 years ago, where we'd be gluten-free 6 days a week. And then on the 7th treat day, we'd have our almond croissant and all kinds of other stuff and say, well, we're kind of gluten-free. Mm-hmm. So they're kind of in that same camp right now. However, I can tell you that they know when they, as young women, there are some times where mentally it's not feeling right, physically it's not feeling right, and they go, okay, that's it, and they clean it up, and bam, it's just night and day. Yeah. But then, being in the 20s, there's a lot of friends, a lot of peer pressure, a lot of things going on. It's not always easy, especially at that age, to be around a group of people because we don't drink beer unless we find gluten-free beer, because beer has gluten. Well, I'm a beer lover, right? If it was up to me, and this is the thing, when people come to you, they go, oh, well, I like this or I like that. Well, yeah, me too. If it was up to me, I'd be drinking margaritas and red wine and beers every day and having pizza, tacos, and hamburgers. That's be what I would eat every day, but I'd be dead. So, for them being around friends and say, oh, well, no, I can't have that. I want some gluten-free stuff, or, oh, I don't drink beer because I'm gluten-free, or unless I find gluten-free beer or this and that, they get the, oh, come on type stuff, So, they're not quite made that shift yet all the way.
Right. But, and I guess what I meant by that is that we have to respect where everybody is on their path.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to end up where you are or where I am, but to add things that do improve their immune system. And, if somebody comes to me and says, I'm going on a diet, I say, don't go on a diet. Add good things to your life. And then when you add that in, you don't have room for some of that other stuff. And that's a non-diet. That's how you eat.
Oh man, you're stealing my thunder on one of the biggies I was going to talk about later. No, I'm just it's perfect. It's perfect. Exactly. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. Yes. Great. Yeah. No, we take everybody for where they're at, because it's really about where's your health at now and just moving the bar. I think a mistake that happens for a lot of people is, let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, your health might be like a 4 and they're trying to get to a 10 in 2 weeks.
Right.
And so, yeah, okay, there might be a couple % of people that can do that, but for most of us, we just got to go from like a 2 to a 3, over a couple of weeks or a month, and then maybe to there. Like I said with Mary, who I was talking about with reversing her type 2 diabetes and pre-diabetes. Well, that was a 12-month period.
Mhm.
Could she have done it quicker? Yes, but it took her 3 months. I mean, she got frustrated in the first 2 months because it wasn't happening quick enough. But when we were able to help her to understand that once you get this going, it's going to go very quickly, but it's going to take some time to change some habits, get some movement. So we just kept on going. And that's what all of us really need to do is wherever our health level's at, let's just look to take it to the next step. And then if we want to go to the next step and the next step, we are not where we want to be. We got, we're looking to be 120 years young. So we've got a lot of work to do.
So what would you recommend to somebody who's just starting this and, loves a Big Mac every so often or whatever, drinks soda, the stuff that, what do you recommend? Just a very simple thing for a beginner.
Yeah. Well, here's a tip that I've given to people. And I used to think it was simple, but yet I realized it was big. Mm. And because the food industry has made it so easy for us to eat unhealthy. Everything's quick, it's easy. And, we eat with the so-called frankenfoods and all that kind of stuff. So what I recommend people to do is make sure in your refrigerator you have 3 bowls, always ready to go. And in those 3 bowls is a bowl of fresh salad greens. Always have a bowl of fresh salad greens. In the second bowl or a platter, have fresh vegetables. Whether it's just a big bowl of roughly chopped up vegetables, or if you have a platter of vegetables chopped up into different sizes, whatever, but a platter, a bowl of vegetables. And the third one is your bowl of whatever protein you're doing, whether you're doing tofu or if you're a vegan and you do different, whatever those proteins you want to be using, but whatever your protein of preference is, have it ready to go. You could poach some chicken, have some chicken already pre-cooked. You might have hard-boiled eggs, might be your salmon that's already poached or, sauteed, ready to go. But have 3 bowls ready to go of salad, vegetables, and your protein. The reason being, I'm just like everybody else. If I'm really hungry and let's say blood sugar's low and I'm hungry and it's been busy and I'm on the go and I'm on the run, what do we all do when we get home? Grab. Right. We're going to grab for the quick and the easy. Other kids are hungry. My wife's hungry. My husband's hungry. My friend's hungry. Oh, we're all hungry. Let's just grab. So if we've got that stuff there, we can quickly, within 5 to 10 minutes, put together a meal. We've got the greens. Obviously have some extra virgin olive oil sitting around, or have fresh citrus, lemons, oranges, limes, or even different types of vinegars, or make your own salad dressing, have it ready to go. But, you could do a quick stir fry, you could do a quick saute, you could make a quick soup, or you could just put some stuff together in a quick salad. But the key is, if you come home and you're hungry and you've got those ready to go, this came to me when I talked to Mary about that, when she was putting together her healthy eating lifestyle, she said to me, oh my gosh, Chef Michael, that just made such a difference to my family because we would just come home and grab anything. And now that I've got those bowls in my fridge, the kids come home and they can just grab those things and put together a salad or some food or something, and then they eat right away. And first thing I would do is have those 3 bowls in your refrigerator ready to go so that when you're hungry, you don't think, oh, well, maybe I'll just call the phone. Oh, let's just run out and get some takeaways. Let's run out and get some fast food.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you're on your way home from something, you're very hungry, and then you think, oh gosh, I have to chop the vegetables. I have to do this. Let me just cook dinner and bring it home. And then you're dealing with the takeout that you may not necessarily even want to eat, but you're so hungry and so tired. So it would probably cut down on that also. Yeah,
and you can do that twice a week.
Yeah.
Just do it twice a week. I mean, that's, if you need to do it 3 times a week, but, you can spend an hour twice a week, have those bowls in the refrigerator ready to go, but, and maybe 3 times depending on the size of your family. And that helps. What I find, it helps people so much. Same thing in your car, because here's another one. If we're not prepared and we don't have what I call our emergency kit in our car, we're going to pull over to we don't have 7-Elevens here, but if we pull over into a 7-Eleven, a convenience store, a petrol station, a gas station, we're just going to grab stuff. But always have in your glove compartment a little bag of nuts, raw nuts. You might even put an apple in there. Just have something where it's like, oh, I'm so hungry, I'm going to stop. Now you've got it there. Have your water bottle in the car and have your nut bag and maybe an apple or some grapes or something like that in your car that you take along. But always, always have an emergency kit in your car for eating purposes. Yeah. That'll save you.
I want to ask what you think of sweet potatoes.
Yeah, we call them kumara here, sweet potatoes there. Yeah, they're good. They're what's called medium GI. So again, what I tend to do, because kumara are good. They've got great fiber. Sweet potatoes, they've got great fiber. They're good. What I like to do is when I'm having something like that I know it's got a kind of a medium sugar content to it, is I will blend it with something else. I might do like a kumara and cauliflower mash, or I might blend the yams with some other vegetables. So what that does is it doesn't give such a big hit of the sugar content to it. So it's kind of knowing that I want to blend that with other things so I don't get so much of one thing.
Okay. Because one of my tricks to life is baking some small sweet potatoes. And then if I hit that hunger zone, I can just eat it cold from the fridge. But I think what I'll do is I'll get the cauliflower too, and then have both.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll see how that works. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's certainly better than other things that are in the cupboard sometimes, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Great. And for those people who are really already into the lifestyle of eating that you're describing, what do you recommend would be a next level for any surprise next level things?
Yeah. Yeah. So for next level, and this is something you talked about, is the whole concept of diets.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about diets versus a balanced macronutrient, healthy eating lifestyle. So the original, I don't know if you might already know this because, man, it sounds like you've been studying this and working on this for decades. But this is just new for me over the last 10 years, is the original Greek and Latin term for diet was dieta, D-I-A-T-A.
Mm-hmm.
And what that meant was way of living. So the original form of the word diet that we currently use was a way of living. It wasn't just, the high-fat, low-carb diet or keto diet or this diet or that diet. It was a way of living. It was a lifestyle. And so what I find people doing is we hear this term, oh, you need to be on the keto diet or you need to be on the whatever diet or this diet or that diet. That all sounds great because it's working for somebody and they're having amazing results. But we are who we are. So we need to personalize, and I call it a healthy lifestyle eating plan, because I don't want to see people just do something for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, even a year. This is, you want to address what your goals are for your life over your lifetime. So you need to set up a healthy eating lifestyle plan. And that's where then what you do is you set up a balance of macronutrients. And macronutrients are your proteins, your carbohydrates, and your fats. And because most of these diets have those out of balance. And that's why they will work for short term, but for long term, they're not really healthy because there's an out of balance with those macronutrients. So what you need, number one, is for the advanced type person, and really for all of us, is say, okay, what's my goal? Am I looking to reverse something? Am I looking to prevent something? Do I have certain genes that I want to make sure aren't turned on? What's my goal? What's my health goal for my life? And then look at, okay, then what is going to work for me personally? And then we all need a mentor. You could say coach, you could say mentor. Isabel and I have coaches. We have mentors. We understand now that is so important. We all need to be accountable for our health and have a mentor and a coach who says, okay, where are we at? How's it going? How's this happening? Is this working? Because when it's us, we have a hard time of kind of stopping and looking and going, I've been doing this for so long, actually, it's not working. Mm-hmm. We have a hard time doing that for ourselves. So when we have somebody working with us, they go, whoa, wait, what's going on here? And then we can tweak it, we can work it, we can adapt it. I mean, it doesn't mean they have to be with you every day, but it's somebody you might check in with every 6 months or every 3 months or once a year to say, where are we at? How's this working? Is this achieving the goals? And so diets, as you said earlier, do they work? Well, it depends what your goal. I mean, if your goal is to lose a whole bunch of weight before you go to your friend's wedding because you want to look good in the dress or the suit, well, okay, yeah, then it can work. But if you're looking to have a healthy long-term life and make sure your immune system's strong and suppress the bad genes and keep all the toxins out, well, then no, it's not going to work.
Right.
So that's the difference. That's what you want to be looking at.
Hello, Chef Michael here. If you enjoyed today's episode, we would love it if you subscribed to the podcast and left us a review. Hello, Chef Michael here. If you enjoyed today's episode, we would love it if you subscribed to the podcast and left us a review.